Hi and welcome to this video on Python programming language. In the previous video we talked about list comprehension. In this video we will talk about modules. A module is a file that contains Python code, as simple as that. In this module you can define functions, classes, variables. You can write statements that can be run. So it's a way to organize your code, and then in a way that you can reuse it when you write other Python programs, so you can import this module into other pieces of codes or other even files and use the functionality of this module. I always say it, best way is an example and kind of get our hand on kind of writing some modules and importing some modules. So let's get started. First thing, go ahead and open a new file. I already have one open here right now, so I'm gonna remove all of this here. And let's create, here's the following scenario. We want to create a module, a Python code for now, that say tells if a given number is, let's say, a prime number or not a prime number. Just say print true if it's a prime number, print false if it's not a prime number. As simple as that. So let's start writing the code. We will define a function that will actually do this for us. So then we can call this function each time we want to test a number. So let's go ahead and write the code. So we'll start by writing the function, say definition, define, and then the name of the function, let me call it is prime, and then the answer will be yes or no, true or false, and then a number will be given, colon, enter, and then we want to test. So as you know, prime numbers are numbers that are only divisible by themselves and 1, so they cannot be divided by any other number. So we want to test dividing the number by each integer below this number up to 2, and if the remainder is never equal to 0, then it's a prime number. So let's say for I in range, we want to start from 2, we don't want to divide by 1, right? 2 all the way to x. Notice this will not include x, which is exactly what we wanted. So for I in this range, we want to divide x by each number in this range from 2 all the way to x minus 1. And again, if the remainder is equal to 0 at any point, then it's not a prime number. So then let's see here, if x mod I, so that's the again the testing for the remainder, is equal to 0 at any point, then this is not a prime number, obviously. So print, let's say, false, right? And then you don't want to go over the entire range from 2 to x. Once you hit a remainder of 0, then immediately you don't have to continue for the next numbers. You can print false and then you're done, so then break. So you may recall this when we covered the for loop. Kind of did that you know, you do a break, so you don't have to continue the for loop, you're done, that's it. And now we're going to use an else statement. Here, the for loop has an else statement, so associated usually with a break. So you run the for loop. If there is a break, the program will not run the else statement. If there's no break, then you will run the else statement. So else, we're going to say print true. So let's gonna look at this one more time. A number x is given as an input, as a parameter or argument here. Then for all the numbers from 2 to x, again does not include x, you divide x by each one of these i's. So you say I2, you divide by I2. If the remainder is 0, then false, that's it, then it's not a prime number, and then break. You just exit the for loop, you're done. If the remainder of dividing by 2 is not 0, you go to the next one, 3, and then divide again. If the remainder is 0, print false, break. If not, keep going this way. If you go all the way up to the end of the range, and the remainder is always never equal to 0, you didn't hit the break. That means you go to the else statement and print true. Let me print the working directory. I want to save it in the same. You might need this. So this is my working directory. I want to save this file exactly here. So pick your choice in your own device and save it in some directory. We're going to be working in the exact same directory when we create the module, so I'll say more details about it in a minute. But again, pick a directory and save your file in it. So I'm going to go ahead and save. So I'm going to save in this folder here. I'm going to save the file name, let's say prime.py, and hit save. So now it's in the same working directory, so I'm saving this file here. All right, so now again, I'm going to run the code. It ran, obviously no output. We didn't print any output here. We didn't call the function. Now the file has been run, so let's call this function, say is prime tab. Notice it recognized it, and then it's going to tell me that there's expecting one argument here. Let's say we want to test the number 21. That's divisible by 3 and 7, so obviously it's not a prime number. It's going to print false. How about 23? 23 is a prime number. It's going to print true. So this is the little code with a function that tells me if a given number is a prime or not a prime number. So here's a block of code. Let's say this file here I want to be able to use by other Python files. So I would like to save this. Again, it's in this directory. I would like to create a new file. So let's open a new file here and save a new file. And you're writing another program. You would like to be able to use this functionality of this module here. So what we want to do is import this file, prime. So import prime, and then do some other stuff inside of here. So now if you run this code here, it will import the code without you having to copy this and put it in here. You can use the same functionality of this module here. I don't want you to be thinking that this is only because we have this already in here, it's already ran and we have it in here. So I want you to have a better understanding of this. So I'm going to first of all close this one here so we don't have it. Second of all, I want to kind of restart my kernel. So again, it's totally removed from here and you're kind of starting from scratch. So I want you to be in that mode that, really back to here. If you say is prime 21, it's going to tell us is prime is not defined. So we don't have it in here anymore. All right, that being said, clear all this. Now when you run this code, it will ask you to save the file. Save it in the same directory where we did save the module a minute ago. And then let's see what happens. Run. Again, it's going to ask me to save it. So I'm going to save it in the same folder as we did with prime. So let's call it, let's say trial. Yeah, let's call it trial. And save. All right, so now it ran the program, obviously no output. Now we could use the functionality of the prime, and that's how we're going to be using it. So let's say prime dot. Now the name of the function we've defined inside of this module is prime, right? That, and then let's say 21. Now let's run the code, and it says false. So we can tell right away that it's not a prime number. What about 23? Run the code. As we expected, it's running the functionality of the original module. So that's the module name that we imported. And then this is one of the attributes or one of the functions inside of this module. So we're using it here, and we can use it here as well. So just like we did before, but again, we need the prefix prime dot is prime and so on. So here 35 false. So obviously we still have the prime dot is prime. If you're interested in only this one function, usually modules include more than one function. And let's say you're only interested in importing just this function. You can do the import statement by doing something like this here, from prime import is prime. So you import the function here. So if you run the code here, it will print true. But now really you don't have to put this prefix here. You could go is prime right away, run, and it prints out here nicely. So again, is prime, and we get false. It's not a prime number. So one other thing about this here, if you do prime dot tab, it will show you the attributes of the module. We only had one function, and that's why it's just showing that. Otherwise, again, it's going to show the list of functions included, or methods, or global variables included in this module. Another thing we can use with the import is typing from prime import and then the asterisk key. And this will import all the methods or all the functions involved inside of prime, all the global variables. And that's kind of, again, for short writing. So we could run the program here and it will run nicely with no problems. You don't have to put the prefix of prime. It might make your program a little bit harder to read, so it's not a very common practice to do this. It is okay to do it, as you can see, no problem with this. If you're writing a larger program, many lines of code, this is not something that's preferred by programmers in general. Now that we've covered modules and different ways of importing modules, it might make sense to kind of talk about packages. A package is a directory that includes multiple modules and probably sub-packages as well, included in the same folder, in the same directory. So that's a package, right? And it can be imported in the same way. For more information on modules, you can visit the Python documentation on modules. You'll find some nice information here about definitions and how to import, kind of same type of things we talked about with some examples. I will not go over this line by line, but take your time, look at it. The documentation code of Python is a kind of nice page to visit now and then to get more examples, more details, definitions of things. At the end of the page here, you'll notice it talks about packages and what you need to include in the directory to tell Python that this is a package that includes other modules. You need to include a file with the name in it, or underscore init underscore .py, and then with import statements and so on. So there are some examples here that you can look over. Before I end this video, I want to let you know that there are a lot of modules that are already created. Some of it, they come standard with your distribution as you download Python. A lot of these modules come already built in, and some you can install and then import in the same way we've seen in this video. So pretty much for most of the things, if not all, the things that you want to do with your programs, you'll find a library or a module that does that thing. So you don't have to redo it. If you intend to do something, I would Google it, search, and you'll almost always be able to find these modules already being created. That being said, this is the end of this video. Thanks for watching. In the next video, we will talk about some of the standard modules that already exist, its functionality and how to use it, and some of its attributes. Until then, again, thanks for watching. See you next time.